Have you ever looked at your partner on a Saturday or Sunday and felt like, I don't think he's ignoring me, but God, it really feels like it? And you're like, why is he looking at his phone all the time? And it feels like he cares more about whatever's going on his phone than he does about you or your family or anyone else. I know I've felt this way. And you're like, okay, wait a minute. How do you know what some random guy on some random team just did on a like a game that's not even being shown on your TV or in your market, but he's like, "Oh, my running back just scored 15 points." Of course, he doesn't say that out loud. He's like mad texting or, talking to his friends and texting them. And you're like, excuse me, can you just like take out the trash? Because this is annoying. And you like build this resentment for whatever is going on his phone, whatever's on the TV. Do you know what we're talking about? Yeah, we're talking about fantasy football. It's like a drug, I swear. And I'm into football. Like I'm really into football. I love it. It's been my career. But I don't do fantasy, and my husband does. And I'm not going to lie, it drives me bananas because I feel like it takes him away from our family and everything else that needs to be done. And he cares about some random points to maybe like win his matchup. So if you've ever felt this way, this video is for you because we are going to talk about how to get past this feeling of massive neglect. And let's be honest, a little bit of resentment too. So we're going to talk about in this video some kind of practical things. I promise you, I'm not going to tell you just learn to love football because that's not fair. And I'm also, although very tempting, I'm not going to make fun of your spouse, your husband, your boyfriend, your friends for loving fantasy football. Super tempting. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but we are going to help understand what's underneath all of that and how you can actually use it to your advantage to have a little bit of fun, a little bit of spice in your relationship. Okay. So let's get started. Here's why this matters because, okay, this is not really about like him choosing fantasy football over you. It's just not. It's probably uncovering some underlying things that are going on about being able to have conversations and not feeling like you're taking second place to this fantasy football thing. And if you don't address it, if we don't talk about it, if we don't have tools, then it just starts to fester. I would love to tell you that I'm immune to this because I love football, but I'm not. I can't tell you how many times I have looked over at my husband and wanted to pummel him, especially because we have a young little baby. Or what? Well, she's not a baby anymore. She feels like my baby. She's 5, but she feel like if I will forever call her my baby. But especially when she was a baby, and I was like holding her, trying to do dishes and all the things, and I'm like, can I get a little help, bud? Apparently, that running back scoring a couple extra yards is more important than, feeding your daughter. And it wasn't personal. I know it wasn't personal. And I don't want to take away his fun. So I never said anything because I was like, he's working hard for our family. We have a decent relationship, good relationship. That sounded more negative than I meant it to. But it did mean, again, that I was, like, quietly building up this resentment. So let's not let that happen. Let's attack the problem right now. Okay, so let me tell you what went down in my relationship, okay? Because, like I said, the resentment was building up, and I was getting really frustrated, and I didn't wanna steal his joy. I didn't fun with his buddies and 100 different leagues he was in, but I also didn't wanna feel like I was competing with a game, and I didn't and even just more about me, that our daughter, right? Like, I didn't want her to feel neglected, and, even though she was little and is little, she still feels it. Kids feel when you're not paying attention to them. So, again, we would be in the weekend and all this stuff was going on. And then one day I just was like, so, like, what leagues are you in? And he said, oh, well, I'm in a league with my buddy Kevin, and then I'm in a league with, these guys from college. And I was like, oh, okay, so you're you're in two leagues. Well, no, there's another one for work, so I'm in the third league. Oh, okay. So you're tracking three different teams that you built. I know you did all your drafts because those were, you'd pour yourself a cocktail, go in the other room, and it would be like this 3-hour, like, shit talking one another as they're like picking their guys or whatever. So I knew he was in all these leagues. But I wanted to know. I'm like, I took an interest and I said, okay, well, who are your guys? Like, what needs to happen? Where do you sit? And he was like, oh, well, my quarterback on this league is Patrick Mahomes. And then my quarterback over here, and he starts naming. And I said, well, who are the ones that, you're hoping do well this weekend? Oh, well, if blah, blah, blah has a great run day, then that's going to really help me. And I said, oh, well, who are you playing against? Oh, I'm playing against our buddy Robbie this day. Oh yeah, tell Robbie he's going down. And, do you see what I'm doing there? Like, I didn't learn anything about football. I mean, I knew about football, but I didn't have to learn about football. I just started asking questions. I just started, like, taking a little bit of an interest. And what was really interesting about that is I felt, number one, he started to notice how much he was spending time on it because now he's saying it out loud. Before, he was just popping onto his phone. And it's funny, I feel like time just stands still when you get on your phone. Like, have you ever done that when you get on social media and you just start scrolling through stuff and you look up and you're like, oh, geez, it's been 30 minutes and I've been watching, dog videos or whatever. But time just stands still. So I feel like guys or people who do fantasy football. I know there's tons of women that do it too, so don't want to leave you ladies out too. But for the most part, what I'm talking to right now my fellow ladies who feel neglected by their men, is that, your guy looks down at his phone and he gets into the, whether it's the banter or the trades or looking at that stat and seeing who's gonna win and what they're, is there another game left that they could score some more points because their player is still yet to play. And I don't think they even realize that they are actually spending 15, 20 minutes like doom scrolling on fantasy football. So by asking them the questions, I felt like it created this like aha moment of, oh, right. Yeah. I was looking at, oh, well, who is your matchups today? Oh, well, let me look. And all of a sudden, because he's conscious of it, he noticed how much time he was spending on just looking at his phone. Because I was like, well, can't you look at your matchups on Thursday, get them all set up, figure it all out, and then on Sunday or Monday, just see how you did? Doesn't really work that way. That's not what fantasy is built on, right? Like, they want the interaction and the engagement, and obviously they're hoping for better viewership. But as a woman who's feeling ignored, that was my biggest question, was like, why can't you just set your team and then just see how it all plays out? But I suppose that's like, you know, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a really good analogy here. I'm not going to do a good job, but I suppose it's like anything. It's like, oh, well, just, watch the first scene of a movie where they kind of hook you and you're like wondering what happens. And then you just fast forward to the last 5 minutes and you're like, oh, that's how it ends. Like, the fun part is the middle. It's the action. It's like who goes up, who goes down, who gets killed, who says a funny joke. So that's a movie or a book or whatever. So I guess I'm stealing his joy in the middle. Dang it. Okay. I just proved myself wrong by doing an analogy that makes sense to me. And now it's like, oh, okay. I get it. All right. The fun bits are in the middle. So you got to actually pay attention. Now, what do we do with that? I just had this realization, but what do we do with it? So here's what we do. Okay. First of all, I have to like normalize something, and that yes, we're talking about the things that can make this better, but this does not invalidate. It doesn't, make it like your needs any less, right? Of course you have needs, and of course they need to be addressed. But what I have noticed with men is that when you address their needs and you get into whatever it is that they're into and you sort of kind of bring it to light, all of a sudden they are a lot more keen on making date night or taking out the trash or doing whatever you need. At least that's what I've noticed in my relationship. I feel like my husband is a lot more into those acts of service or words of affirmation or whatever your love language is when I have satisfied his love language, right? Which well, let's be honest, most men it's physical touch. But it's also being interested and kind of like approving the things that he loves. So here's the first thing to understand, I think, and what I've learned is that it isn't just about football. Because, like I said, I was like, why don't you set your team and then just see what happens at the end? It's about the stuff that happens in the middle. And that is trash talking, it's strategy. It's the like ebbs and flows of the game because all of a sudden his team will have a whole bunch of points and he's kicking the other guy's butt. And then like the other guy will have one of his buddies will have a player that does something awesome and all of a sudden they're tied and then there's banter going on. What is that? What is it? It's the same thing as us having conversations with our girlfriends. Right? What lights our fire? What gets us going? It's when we get to have that shared connection and community with other women or important people in our lives, our moms, whoever that is. This is their way of having that connection and that communication. I'm like, well, I want to talk about something deep. Like, let's talk about the philosophies of the world because that's what fills my cup. But what fills my husband's cup is actually having those conversations and those banters and the shit talking with his buddies. That fills his cup. So if we can say, oh, okay, I understand. This is what fills my cup. This is what fills his cup. Now all of a sudden it makes sense, right? Okay, so now that we've talked about like what this is and why it's filling his cup, let's get back to you. All right. It's not necessarily that you're like mad about fantasy football. What you're upset about is feeling neglected and ignored. I know that's the way I felt. I was like, why are you choosing this thing over me? Like, I mean, put my curly hair on. I have makeup on. I look good. Hello, over here. Do I need to put on some lingerie for you to pay attention to me? That's so dumb. But I mean, you kind of feel that way. Like, what do I need to do to get a little attention over here? And you don't want to have to do that. You want to just feel like you're equal, or let's be honest, better than a fantasy football. And so I want to just, I'm making light of it, but I want to normalize that, like, that's a tough feeling about you feeling like you're playing second. So that's okay. I want you to just know that, like, that's okay to feel that way. So that's number two. And I'd actually question you, like, have you ever had that conversation with him? And the conversation cannot be something that I would do, which is those passive aggressive comments of like, well, I'll just make food for the baby on my own. I'm so guilty of that. Oh my gosh, that's so like my dad just coming through me like, oh, let's not address this head on. Let's just go ahead and make some passive aggressive comments about it. And that's not fair because he might not even realize. I mean, he's getting joy from this thing right now. And then here I come in and I'm like, well, I guess your phone's more important than me. No, that's not the way to handle it. Be an adult, Amanda. Like, have a conversation, right? Say to him, hey, I love that you get so much joy from this, I love that you're having fun. I want to actually know more about it so I understand it. But I also I miss you. Like I wanna, I wanna have conversation with you. I wanna do stuff with you. Like, is there any way that we could carve out some time for you and I to hang or you and the kids to hang or the whole family to hang? Could we do that? Like, could we have, you know, Saturday night or whatever the time is, look at the game schedule coming up this weekend. When is a good time for us to have some time for just you and I? That seems fair, right? You can watch the games, you can look at your phone whenever, or just kind of create some boundaries of saying, hey, when our daughter's in the room, it would be awesome if you put your phone just to the side, just for that 10 minutes, so that she feels seen and that she feels like daddy loves her and wants to pay attention to her. I feel like that's an adult conversation as opposed to those passive aggressive ones that I am so guilty of. I'm trying to be more of an adult. So, now that I'm learning, I'm passing on the knowledge. good, good job, me. And third, maybe you actually want to be a part of it. You want to, it's not just, hey, we'll get these 2 hours here on Saturday night and the rest of it, you get to go off on your own and watch the game and have fun bantering with your buds. Maybe you want to be a part of it too. So this doesn't mean that you have to become a football expert. It doesn't mean you have to go study the rule book and know everything there is to know about football. I promise you. But it is nice to know a few things so that you can, join the conversation. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean rules. It just means that you can ask questions. So let's say you want to watch the game with your guy and he's watching the Broncos Chiefs game. I don't know, whatever game's on. And you say, "Okay, who's on your fantasy team? Who are we watching?" And he says, "Oh, well, I'm watching the tight end," which at this current moment, who knows when you watch this, but at this current moment, it's Travis Kelce. So I say, "Oh, great, you were watching him. Okay, so I know number 87. Anytime he does something good, we are cheering extra loud." Or it's, a play's about to start and you're like, "Throw it to him." And he's like, your husband looks over at you like, "Dang, she's on my side." Heck yeah. I mean, every guy likes to feel supported. They might not say it out loud, but it does mean a ton to a guy when they feel like their girl has their back. So if you can find out which players on the team that are playing, and it might be some players on one team and some players on the other team, now you could just start rooting for those players and you don't even have to know anything about the game. You just know if they catch a ball, that's good. If they run the ball, that's good. If they lose the ball or fumble, that's not good. Oh, and also in fantasy, sometimes they have defenses, I think. And so if the defense does something great, like gets a stop, I think that's a good thing. Pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong on fantasy because I don't play, but that is one thing you could do. And you can also just make it a fun experience. So if you know he loves watching football, why not invite like your friends that you have in common that you both love, the ones that make you laugh and are entertaining, or maybe it's if you have a family, it's another family with kids and your kids can all play together. And you make it an event, like cook your favorite meal or bring out your favorite cocktails and just have fun. You don't have to watch every play, but make the environment amazing. I mean, it's like going to out to a club. Okay, now I'm not that young. That's not a good analogy. Um, what's a good analogy? It's kind of like going to a music festival, right? Like not every performance is going to be your favorite band, but can you dance and have a good time and enjoy the good food trucks and have fun with your friends? Yeah, you can have a ton of fun. It doesn't have to be, oh, well, this guy's up on the stage and I don't like it or I'm not interested in it. It's make the best situation you possibly can. Make it your own. So the next time it's a game weekend, what did we talk about today? A few things. Number one, have the conversation. right? Like, what are your needs? What are his needs? Number two, ask some questions, get curious, find out what are the big games this weekend? Who are the players he's watching? What matters to him? Who is the guy he's playing his fantasy? Is it someone you know? Because, you can talk bad about him together. Again, it's like you're a team now. And just find all the little ways that you can make it yours and have fun. And if you do want to know a little bit more about football, there's a little cheat sheet in the show comments or whatever they're called in the YouTube. They're down below. Anyway, you can click on that link. It's free. It'll help you learn a little bit more about football so you understand the lingo a little bit. You don't have to be fluent, but it is nice to have a little something you can read and make it. And there's even a couple videos you can look at too. I like to have some good free resources for my lady friends who want to know a little bit more and be a little bit more educated. So have fun with that. And just remember, like, fantasy football doesn't have to be the enemy. It doesn't have to make you feel like you're ignored and neglected. It could actually become something really fun to do together. It can be the source of conversation. It can be the source of shared, like, teammates and having fun and cheering and all of those things. It can be something fun. Cook your favorite meal. Pour your favorite cocktail, girlfriend, because why not? Or mocktail. You don't have to have a cocktail. You can have a mocktail. There's some really good ones out here. If you don't know this, I went through breast cancer for 2.5 years. I was super sick. And let me tell you, there are some incredible non-alcoholic beers. They are so good. So if you like beer, they're awesome. Otherwise, there's some really good, like, seltzer drinks. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but just in case you don't drink cocktails, there's really good mocktail options too, because I couldn't drink for 2.5 years and I still got joy when I was with friends and we were partaking in vivacious beverages. So make it fun, make it yours. This doesn't have to be the worst thing that's ever happened to you when football's on. Instead, it can be an opportunity for you to come together with your dude and, have fun and promise he will thank you. He'll be like, oh, she's looking kind of extra spicy now because she's taking an interest in me and the things I love. Now let me see if I can take a interest in the things she loves. Have fun. Oh, and if you like this content, go ahead and click on the next one. Let's have some fun together.